I think, are we ready? Yep, okay. There we go. All right. We can't edit that out. It's on, John.
It's on, great.
Everything's on.
They
Okay.
just saw me take a sip of coffee.
Uh-oh. I have no idea what just happened. It blanked out for a second. Anyway, all right, welcome. This is episode 4. I don't know what happened. Sorry about that. So I am Quincy from Cummings Realtors. This is John Wald from
Primary Residential Mortgage.
Thanks,
You
John.
should know that by now. It's been a few years, right?
It has been, unfortunately. You okay?
Go for it.
Okay, yeah.
Start it, bud.
So today we're going to take a break. So we're not going to do another topic, but we are going to get in some questions. So I think a couple days ago I asked people to send in some questions. We have 6 or so questions in front of us that were sent in. Some anonymous, some were emailed in. And we're just going to go through them. And so we like this format. We'll see how it goes. And then next time we'll jump back into a topic. Ready?
Yep.
All right. So the first question is, what is the best real estate website to use to start a search? Obviously, there are so many options from Zillow to local agent sites to a million other ones. So here's my answer. The best site to use is one that updates the fastest. So something like Zillow, Trulia, all those, they are not in real time. They are at best 24 hours behind. Some sites are like 3 days behind. The other one is you want one that has the most accurate information. So to get accurate information, it's going to feed directly into the real estate MLS, multiple listing service. I personally like to use an app called HomeSnap. It's great on your mobile device. You can get directly from the agent you're working with or not, but it's great. You can just press a button so it goes by location wherever you are, so all the houses around you that are for sale, for rent, under contract, things like that. And so at the end of this, we'll put a link up for that and get you all signed up if you want to.
Yeah, I downloaded HomeSnap. Yeah. I was using Zillow, and I downloaded HomeSnap, and I like it. Leaps and bounds. It's incredible.
I use it out in the field. So like if clients we're like looking at a house and they want to know, well, what's the deal with that house on the street 3 houses down?
Yep.
I actually use HomeSnap.
Yep.
That's the app I use.
Yep.
I'm just out in the field showing houses.
And doesn't it link to? You guys use Maris, doesn't it link to Maris?
It's directly. It's like the Maris app.
Yeah.
So it's directly linked to Maris, which is the MLS that we're talking about. So it's all updated in real time. It probably has the best accurate information. Yeah. What I also like it though too is as a consumer, if I put the link up, you sign up, and you kind of are go through like a real estate agent sort of sign up account. It'll actually give you access to some comps as well, so you can see for yourself which houses have sold, which houses are under contract, and the actual prices too. Which if you're using Zillow, you can see, but you kind of have to search for all that. This is just like you're inside your house, you press the location button, and it's all right there.
And it's HomeSnap again.
HomeSnap, yeah, it's HomeSnap, and just give us a couple seconds. When we put out the podcast, we'll send a link up for that. So, all right. Question 2.
So I'll read that question off for you.
Yeah.
Are real estate agents allowed to tell you which neighborhoods are safe? I think that's a good one.
It's a good one. I think I have 3 answers to this. I'm going to make John squirm a little bit.
Can't wait.
Okay. So technically, no, not really. There's a section, like if you ever have bought a piece of real estate, or at least in the past couple of years, there's a section that says, talks about crime stats and basically says we can't tell you their websites you can go to. There's another section that talks about the warranties you can make. So technically, no, we're not supposed to make comments on whether neighborhoods are safe or not. The second part of that is such a subjective question. I actually personally don't like when people ask that. I have no idea what is safe to you. Safe to John might be different to me. I don't know. But I think what a lot of people are asking is, am I going to be comfortable in this neighborhood? And I think, in all honesty, your agent should answer that, whether technically they're allowed to or not. You guys should have enough of a relationship to know that answer. But if you're just basic, like I want to know the crime stats, there are a million one websites to go to. The technical answer is no. Agents are not allowed to tell you, if they're safe or not. But I think the practical answer is your agent should have taken enough interest in you that they could guide you to a neighborhood that you're going to feel very comfortable in.
What's I mean, that definitely makes sense.
Yeah.
What are some of the sites that people can check out that tells you the crime?
Any like local police site is probably gonna be the best.
Mhm.
Like they have crime maps; they'll probably be the best ones. I would try and stay away from like your local, like those local neighborhood sites.
Like the Facebook like internal sites, or
Those are like I don't want to like call anyone out, but like those like local neighborhood sites where they instantaneously like report like, well, this car got broken into. This like those kind of tend to run away with things. But I would just stick to like the actual statistical sites. All police jurisdictions have their own site that report crime stats. All county governments will keep crime stats, maybe not as in quickly updated as the police sites, but they will keep crime stats. Your real estate agent actually does have tools to get those statistics to you, and then you can kind of take a look at those numbers for you. So,
cool.
All right.
So you didn't make me squirm.
I didn't.
Yeah.
I took a very PC approach to that.
Appreciate that.
You're welcome.
I'm sure everybody else out there in the internet world
maybe
does
not.
too.
We'll see.
All right. All right. So next question is, prior to the housing crisis and the housing crash, was the purchase process and the loan approval, which I think they're really focusing more on the loan approval, was that simpler? The answer is yes and no. So before we got crazy in the lending industry, which was the peak of 2005, way before that, about 8 years before that, when lending practices make sense, it was the same concept. We need to document, we need to prove it. But from roughly 2002 to 2006, I mean, it was no holds barred. People were going crazy. No income, no assets.
Most of the time it was just
stated everything.
No docs.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, you could have started a job 2 days ago, and the loan officer would have said, "Well, what's your income?" Well,
right.
I make $140,000 a year. Great, and we didn't need to document anything.
Right.
So that was much easier to get a loan.
Mm-hmm.
However, were there a lot more defaults? 100%. So the loan process has gotten harder from what it was back then, which was the buyers that are buying now, that's what they're relating to if they had bought previously. So it's absolutely gotten harder for them in terms of documentation. Mm-hmm. But has it gotten harder in, if you go back 30 years? No. Yeah. It's the same thing. You got to prove the document, you got to prove the income, you got to prove the assets. So it's a lot of documentation. I mean, that's what our job has come to. But it's makes sense underwriting, and thankfully, I could say as an industry whole, we've gotten our default rate down significantly from when it was in 2004, 2006.
So I think like what I was trying to tell buyers is like, look, you're going to borrow $250,000 from somebody.
Yep.
If you're going to ask for that much money, you should expect they ask a few questions about it at least.
Yes.
And I think the people that are most vulnerable to that assumption are people who maybe bought a house, let's say, 15 years ago, and they're selling and they're buying a new house now. And I think just with technology, it's just easier to get people documents, but sometimes a bit more intrusive. But it is what it is.
Yeah.
We'll all get through it.
And I think people do think it's, because, and that's a good point too, people think because now you get pre-approved without even speaking to the lender. Mm-hmm. Like Rocket Mortgage talks about, you don't even need to talk to a lender. Who
does Rocket Mortgage again?
Quicken Loans.
Oh,
which I don't.
I don't want to get sued.
You can say Quicken Loans.
Okay.
I mean, it's a fact. I just don't personally think, I think you should always obviously talk to a lender. But, to my point is, I think people think, wow, it's easy to get pre-approved with a snap of the finger.
Right.
That's what a loan should be.
Right.
It's 100% not the case. We're like you said, we're giving you $250,000. We need to make sure you're a good investment.
And sometimes it is easy to get pre-approved, but a lot of times those easy pre-approvals don't always work out.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. So back to one of our old podcasts is, vet with a loan officer first, and hopefully they'll set the proper expectations.
Mm-hmm. So cool. 4 says, what are the top 3 things buyers look for when searching for a new home? So I guess if taking the assumption that this person is about to sell their house. What are 3 things? I don't know if there are 3 different things. So here's the thing you have to first know is it's first of all about the location you live in. The location you live in is desirable. You have a significant leg up. It's already a hyper-local seller's market. That's the top thing. Location can encompass, just general areas, school districts, walkability, depending on where you are. But the biggest thing is just location. If you're already in a good location, then you break down any further. Are you, in a great location, but you're on a main street now? I mean, that will make a difference, right then and there. Just talking about local market. I think the second thing is curb appeal, which I think people overlook a lot. It's also
You talking about landscaping curb appeal?
Yeah, landscaping, general. I mean, it's probably one of the least expensive investments you can make into your house, but also one of the most often overlooked things. And the second thing is, depending on, again, you have to take it sort of hyper local where you are. Some buyers do want shiny kitchens, baths, things like that. But if you're in, a different market, some people want original details.
Mm-hmm.
So in terms of the inside of your house, I think you have to stay true to your market. So talk with your agent, know your market. If your market demands upgrades, then buyers are going to want those. If your market demands higher end upgrades, then do that. But if your market demands original details, then don't go out putting Home Depot granite in your kitchen. Stick with what the market says. So
I also think, I don't know who wrote this question or who sent it in, but this, I think, to me, sounds like obviously a listing question. If they were to list their property, should they, remodel their kitchen, remodel their bathroom? I mean, I know that there's flyers that some realtors send out, and people talk about you usually get 60% return on your bathroom or
and
whatever.
TV is ruined for everybody too. Yeah.
So there's no necessarily formula, right?
Isn't, at all.
But if you met with the seller, you would say, this house that's sold for the price point that you want to sell for had a remodeled kitchen, a remodeled bathroom.
So I mean, even if a remodeled kitchen is returning $50,000, if you owe a ton on your house, it might not make sense for you to do that. Then if you don't have access to the cash to do that, so it's a tough question to answer in a general conversation like this. I mean, you really need to know the house, know the market. But really, really, really break it down to like your specific market, not like regionally or statewide.
Yeah.
So,
cool.
All right. 5 is a lender question.
Yeah. Number 5 is please explain the debt to total income ratio and how the percentage relates to mortgage loans. Well, in the last podcast, we talked a lot about getting pre-approved and DTI and loan to value ratio. Debt to total income ratio, the simplest calculation is your total monthly debt plus your new mortgage payment divided by your gross monthly income. So I'm just going to use really simple numbers. If you have a credit card for $50 a month and you have a car payment for $50 a month, and we only take the minimum payment, so even if you pay your credit card off every single month, you still have a minimum payment to keep it active. So say it's $50 a month on a credit card, $50 a month on a car payment, which would be glorious, but would never happen. That's $100, and your new mortgage payment is $350, so your total debt is $450, and you make $1,000 a month. We take your total monthly debt, including your new mortgage payment, divided by your gross monthly income, and that would be your debt to total income ratio. So in this particular example, $100 of revolving debt on your credit report plus a $350 mortgage, so $450 divided by 1,000 is 45%, which is where lenders really want to be under. And DTI plays a role in being approved for a mortgage and potentially what mortgage type that you could get into, because some, not to get too technical, but some mortgages allow higher debt to total income ratio, but it's not going to play a role into your interest rate, which is what people always ask me. Well, if I made more money, would I get a lower rate? No, you wouldn't. It's really dependent upon your credit score, the loan type, and the time that you lock. So.
And then, like last podcast, you revisit that. The links are there's a little like pamphlet John puts out that has a good explanation of DTI. To put you on the spot a little bit, can you explain the new student loan rules that we see run into a lot with DTI?
So Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, FHA came out with a universal, basically, ruling, and there's a little asterisk with Freddie Mac. There's a way around it, but there's a 1% rule. So if I have a student loan and I'm in deferment where I don't need to pay that student loan because I'm still in school, okay, technically doing grad school at night, but I have $100,000 in student loans I have a $100,000 balance, but I'm not paying anything on it because I'm in deferment. Well, we can no longer use that $0 deferment. We have to use 1% of the outstanding balance So that $100,000 would count as a $1,000 a month mortgage, or not mortgage payment, $1,000 payment against your debt to total income
Right.
ratio, unless that you could get it out of forbearance or deferment and actually make the actual payments if it's less than that 1%, which it typically is.
Right. And can you do income-based repayments anymore?
You can't use income base unless it's a fully unless you're doing fully amortized. So no.
Okay.
With Freddie Mac, there is a way if it is on your credit report, that's the number they use.
Okay.
Whereas with a Fannie Mae investor, they flip it. They have to use the 1% if they don't think it's fully amortized.
Okay.
So again, that's why it's important not to click button get mortgage
Right.
here. That's why it's important to actually meet with a
Sure.
lender.
Definitely seen some of those almost blow up.
Yep.
Cool. I thought I was going to stump you.
Come on, bud.
Good
You know
job,
better
John.
than that.
I know.
So,
All right. Last question. This is a fun question. So, well, maybe fun. I don't know. How will the election likely impact real estate values in the mortgage market? So, I'm going to answer. I think this is a more personal answer than a business answer. But I think personally, it won't. I mean, I think so. Qualify that. So, I think every election, you have a lot of people who state like all this is going to happen, and they predict all this stuff, and people kind of go into this mini panic. But then I think at the end of the day, nothing actually happens. I mean, I don't think So
Yeah.
I mean, would I say like if you're worried about it, maybe you were going to sell your house, and you're worried about the election having an impact on the housing market? I would say either sell your house now, or skip the first quarter of next year, and then wait till after that, and let it pan out a little bit. I don't think that might not be a bad idea. But at the end of the day, I don't know if it really does have much of an impact. I think actually every new administration is going to try to do their best to, make themselves and their party look good. So, the plan is not to go into office and turn the housing market upside down.
and to be honest with you, the market's strong.
Yeah.
So,
Right.
but we're in such a global market, and it's in a sense of a global market in terms of rates.
For rates,
okay?
for the finance side.
But in terms of real estate market, you're such a localized
Yeah.
market that it's not like one thing, one administration or whatnot.
Yeah, I mean,
think it's going to change it.
it doesnn matter really who's in office. If you're in 21093, you're pretty much in a strong market always.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just the way real estate works.
Yeah. Well, growing up, I remember I was raised in a family that did a lot of real estate, and there was 3 rules to real estate,
Right.
which goes back to your answer before,
Right.
what sellers are looking for. It really comes down to people are buying your house for location.
Right.
In most cases, they're for forever home. So location.
Right.
And back to the election thing, it depends on your market, your localized market. That I don't think it's going to make that big of an impact. Personally, this is not my company.
Yeah, I don't want to get. I mean, we could have a political conversation. That'd be funny too.
I don't
but
think we need to.
you want to?
No, I
You
think
sure?
I think it's pretty good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah, we don't want to.
But I just don't. Personally, I just don't think it. I think after all the smoke and dies down, I just don't think it matters.
Yeah.
I don't think it affects anything.
Yeah, and historically with rates too, everybody asks me like, "Well, rates are so low. I want to buy.
Right.
Or I want to refi this and that." Well, rates are low, and
Right.
you want to refi, but one that shouldn't be a deciding factor.
Right.
And historically, in election years, rates have stayed the same, or at least historically, from
Right.
what I've seen, I've been through this,
Mhm.
4 times now.
Mhm.
So it's not, I don't see a change in interest rate during election time significant. Are we going to go through an interest rate hike?
Sure.
It's going to happen soon.
Right.
But you shouldn't buy because of interest rates or.
I mean, and even if rates are hiked, I mean, how much of a hike are we talking about, and how huge of an impact? I mean,
It's not that big.
I can't see that making a
Yeah.
big of an impact either. So,
Yeah.
all right, I think that's all the questions we have.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Cool. So again, that's it. So keep a lookout for the audio, the podcast version of this, where we'll have the links to HomeSnap, and then I think next week we'll decide if we'll do more questions or go with another topic.
Yeah, and if there's any topics that anybody wants to specifically talk about, we've talked about it before. We'll be happy to touch on it, and again, we appreciate the views, and we'll keep it coming.
Sounds good. Thanks.